Mr. Gunasekara is a total fraud, and I'm going to take him. Actually, I'm going to file action against him, and I'm going to take him to court. I'm going to take him to task actually because he can't, as a senior member of parliament, he can't do that. About Air Lanka, what is the COPE recommendation? Nothing. 150 billion loss in 5 years. The cricket board, and what did he do? Did he find them guilty or something like that? Nothing. He says that there are discrepancies and like a little bit of corruption. It looks like nothing. No comprehensive report on that. We need infrastructure. We need development, proper development with tenders, not unsolicited proposals where you can give it to your brother or your friend. Or we will never do that. Even if we make a mistake like that by the government, I will always stand by you all, and I will always fight for what is right. I have enormous confidence with Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe as a Prime Minister, clean person, knowledgeable person, and very efficient and very easy to get in touch with. And as a Prime Minister, anytime you can call him and get through to him. I would actually challenge, I'll take 100,000 more than preferential votes more than Mahinda Rajapaksa if he contests with me in Colombo.
We welcome you, Mr. Sujeewa Senasinghe, at a very opportune moment in Sri Lanka's political sphere. To start off with this declaration that President Mahinda Rajapaksa would be contesting on the UPFA ticket, is that an issue? Is that a cause of concern?
Not at all. Not issue for us. It could be issue for him, being the president, and then asking for nominations from the person he was actually harassing all throughout. That's what actually Mr. Sirisena had been telling us. So it's a pathetic situation for him, and we are not bothered who contest. And I would even pose a challenge any Rajapaksa to come and contest from, if they can contest from Hambantota, and if they all of them together, they won't even have a chance with Sajith Premadasa. And even in Kurunegala, even in Colombo, I would actually challenge, I'll take 100,000 more than preferential votes more than Mahinda Rajapaksa if he contests with me in Colombo.
But do you see that an act of betrayal on the part of the president to offer him nominations? There's a sense of feeling that...
Not really, it's a democracy. Everybody has the right to contest, and unless there are allegations against him and if they have started investigations against him, then there's a moral issue. And other than that, I don't think he should be able to. He will know his true strength after he contests this time. Earlier, he was using all the money, the mechanism, the government mechanism, the media, everything, and the police, the army, everything. Now he has to contest as a normal layman. So he's not the Rajapaksa that we knew earlier. So let's see how he is going to fare.
Right, Mr. Senasinghe, to get to the real issue, there's this big scandal that broke out with regard to this treasury bond issues on 27th of February, and you were a member of this COPE committee. Didn't you shoot yourself in the foot when you said that Mr. Vijayawardena and Mr. Cabral actually prepared this report, whereas in fact there has been denials on all parts that this report was prepared by the COPE committee itself?
No, I didn't say that they directly prepared, but they were involved. I heard that they were involved. Mr. Vijayawardena should have never been involved because he earlier said that he can't get involved in the first inquiry, but due to certain reasons. And I don't think he should have ever got involved in the second one. And then he got involved in that, and then he has given instructions on certain issues. He was never in the inquiry as well. He came to the inquiry initially. I was not there. Then later on that we heard that he was giving his bits and pieces for this, not a report actually, it was just a draft. And this draft, if I actually draw your attention, D. Gunasekara, he said, you as a lawyer, let's raise the issues. And we'll have a draft on the issues. And because we were going on a voyage of discovery, I said, and everything is here in the proceedings. So the initial idea was to file a small draft on issues, main issues. Then he came and said, this is going to be a interim report. I said, how can you produce interim report when you say that we are going to have issues, a draft on issues? So then he says, here I would actually show it to you, Honorable Sujeewa Senasinghe, from what I see, if you get the issues right, then Sabhapatuma Ekatamai. So that is the last proceedings we have. And all of a sudden he comes because he says the parliament is going to be dissolved. I say that is politics. You have no right to decide on whether parliament is going to be dissolved. We have to sit by the committee, and we have a right by the committee and a duty by the committee, COPE committee, in an interim committee, for us to finish this investigation. And all of a sudden he said, no, now we need to give an interim report because the parliament is going. I said, you're doing politics. Don't do that.
But Mr. Senasinghe, to get your... it was July 7th, this report was due on the 7th of July. The Speaker had given a mandate to the COPE subcommittee to give the report by the 7th of July.
No, that was...
now you must have...
No, initially, because you can't give dates and finish inquiries. As a lawyer, you know it takes time, and if you don't finish within that time, then you can't produce a report. And the initial intimation was to finish by that time, and then D. Gunasekara could have done that, and he would have raised issues from the beginning, and he could have made sure that you could have finished by then. But and we have not finished. And how can you? So, if just because he has given a date, can you finish and halfway as a lawyer? Can you finish a case halfway and give a verdict?
No, it was quite comprehensive from what we were told by Minister D. Gunasekara during the last. He had actually had a person.
So that is totally wrong. And I spoke to the officials, and why didn't he then produce that? It was minuted in Parliament. Then he wanted to bring this to Parliament. You can't, an interim committee, you can't bring that whatever draft to the Parliament. It must be a COPE committee. This is a COPE committee, interim committee. So that interim subcommittee should forward to the COPE committee, and the COPE committee must forward it to. So this was totally illegal. So and he has no mandate. He had no mandate, and he was doing politics. He wanted to attack the government, and because we have gone through, and you can ask any question on this bond issue, we have nothing to hide, and it has come out, and how it was done, and why it was not done before in a proper manner, why Cabral went into direct placement to find his stooges actually giving primary dealers entrust and first capital, and this issue what's the Perpetual, and who was Perpetual? The director was Cabral's sister.
Mr. Senasinghe, but you can't deny is the fact that there was you already had a comprehensive hearing.
Who said? Where are you getting your facts? Comprehensive hearing was ongoing. So if as a lawyer you go through this Hafil, and you can see the last proceedings was to raise the issues. So after when raise, as a lawyer, when you raise issues, that is the beginning of the case. So because we were calling all the evidence, and we want to find out what are the issues that we must answer. So that is what, if you go through, it says we'll find the issues, and Iran says let's find, and the D. Gunasekara says all of a sudden on Thursday it was to circulate on Thursday the issues. So he comes on Thursday, comes with the report. Once he gives this, all of a sudden on Thursday he gives this. Then I study the whole report, the draft, fraudulent draft this was, and I was going through it, and I made minutes. I have studied up till 4 in the morning. I was studying because I had to. They said we'll discuss on Friday. So when we came on Friday, they have another draft. They are producing another draft, which is this one is 36 pages. The other one is about 20 pages. So 11 in the night he delivers to my house Thursday. Friday morning he says we are going to produce. I'll give you 10 minutes to go through this. I said, don't play with this country, because you have no right to, as a politician, senior politician, don't do this. We have been now wasting 3-4 weeks, and you give us 10 minutes to produce some draft, and that draft also you can't, because as you said, it's a subcommittee. So tell me show me where that he said that there are going to be a interim report or something like that from the proceeding. Total fraud. Mr. Gunasekara is a total fraud, and I'm going to take him, actually I'm going to file action against him. And I'm going to take him to court, I'm going to take him to task actually, because he can't, as a senior member of parliament, he can't do that.
Mr. Gunasekara actually has been known even during past regime. His credibility has been intact.
Not at all. No credibility at all. But what did he do in COPE last? That we were also wondering what he was doing. And because we are not used to these COPE committees, now in the future we are not going to tolerate this sort of about Air Lanka. What is the COPE recommendation? Nothing. 150 billion loss in 5 years. A cricket board, not even advertisement, it's just a small about 1 inch advertisement on the TV rights. And what did he do? Did he find them guilty or something like that? Nothing. He says that there are discrepancies and like a little bit of corruption. It looks like nothing, no comprehensive report on that. So we were always doubtful of it. I have always challenged him, and he was a government member. You can't head a government member, can't head the COPE committee. It should have been an opposition member. So we were always, I was always attacking him, and because he was senior, because he was a much more senior person than I am, I couldn't take him on because of the seniority, that I had a little bit of respect for that age. But like after what he did, it was atrocious. If you can ask any official, you get from any of the officials in the COPE committee that there was a comprehensive report. The officials, I explained for 2 hours what actually they have done. All false. Doubts you can't make, on doubts you can't make reports, on doubts you must call evidence, you must call the witnesses and then clear those doubts. Reports are prepared like that. That is the way of making a report. Or
so this report of 447 pages that
there's no report like that. There's
proceedings,
no proceedings. Yeah, their proceedings are not a report. Proceedings is what you go through, you call the evidences. You ask any question on this bond issue, you ask me.
When there's a company that has not, the highest they have bid for is 27 million, or highest they've got for is 27 million. Suddenly in February they bid for 15 billion. Isn't that itself, isn't it a cause for concern?
What is the legal as a law? What is the legal? Cause for concern is there. Cause for concern is there. Cause for concern is there because that company, 3 companies have got the rights to be primary dealers. So there's all those things. All those 3 companies are connected to Rajapaksas. All those 3 companies, and about another 6 have applied. They have not got. So there's no tender. There's no tender system. There's no selection system. It's a discretion of the governor, then Governor Cabral. And who was the director of that board? Cabral's sister. So there may have been. So the issue is with that company. The company should be investigated, and we also have said. And because the governor says that before the auction, actually, central bank had called. Officials have called and said how much you are willing to buy at 9.35. So they gave away that the central bank is in need of money, and there must be inquiry on that. And central bank officials are not supposed to call. But that is not the fault of the governor. We are talking about the governor. Show me one instance where the governor has done something wrong.
To come to that, you have been a proponent of this conflict of interest issue.
Yes, definitely.
Don't you see that prima facie, on face of it, that there is a conflict of interest where the governor and his son-in-law, these are the 2 companies, there is a bond issue, but there's people bidding for 27 billion. Bank of Ceylon raises it within hours. Within hours they raise it. Don't you see that there has to be something fishy going on?
No, something fishy. I don't know whether it's fishy or not. How did this company grow from within 2 years from nowhere to be the second in that business? So you have to find out. As you said, conflict of interest. I always believe, and I would never get involve my family or somebody in my politics or wherever I am. And as a minister also, there's nobody in my family, not a secretary, nobody. None of my brothers, my parents are involved in. I believe in that. And as the governor, and what happened, the governor's actually son-in-law also resigned from Perpetual Treasuries. But he has some interest in the holding company. So there is a conflict of interest. I agree. And I have advised the governor to actually, for him to take a decision, whether the son-in-law should be out of their company or whether they should sell. Actually, governor told me that when I asked a question, he said, I have instructed him to sell the company or to actually even resign as a director.
But the question.
No, conflict of is not the interest. That is not the point. Conflict of interest is there. So I agree with you. That is not the problem. That is not the allegation. It's on the interest rate and the manual. We'll go to the detail, Hafil. It's not about attacking a person on a witch hunt, trying to get a conflict of interest. Is not a legal issue. No, it's a moral issue. Then the moral issue, governor has to answer that question. I believe, and I am with you on that. There is conflict of interest when there's some relation in somewhere down there, and so another person can say just because the relation can't they do business. But conflict of interest, then the information may have gone, and for them to get 5 billion, and they have the biggest bidders. So that doubt is there with us, and we have to. So we have actually, if you go back, you see inside information has been passing on from to this company for a long time. Why? Because Cabral's sister is the director of that company.
Of the holding company.
The holding company. So that is also conflict of interest.
Yeah, but Mr. Senasinghe, if you look at the bonds that we issued, except for October 2014, there has not been a single bond that was issued for Perpetual Treasuries. So Cabral's sister being there has not actually had any impact at all.
So that's what you think, and how do you know what are the other deals going through the central bank and the Perpetual Treasuries? And how did the Perpetual Treasury, if you say that you don't find, how did Perpetual Treasuries within 2 years, 2013 they got the license, from to 2015, how, not 2014, just 1 year, how did they do 200 billion worth of business then with the central bank? 200 billion. So then you have to ask that question. And what does the manual say? What did Cabral do? The manual says, this is the Public Debt Department Operational Manual from the central bank, and where in all the countries in the world, it's done on auction. These bonds are done on auction because for transparency. You don't do it on direct placement, because direct placement leads to corruption. So that is why this manual clearly says, the page 8, private direct placement. It was introduced, and then they specifically says what it means. FO has to make arrangements to meet financing need as much as possible through auctions. The balance fund requirement of the government as indicated in the approved borrowing program may be arranged through private placements. So in countries 90% of the actually treasury bonds are done in auctions, and that is what this governor did, because for 3 weeks you had to find 13.5 billion. So for 3 weeks through direct placement and private placement they only managed to find 3.5 billion for 3 weeks. So on Friday you go for auction, then on the auction they need to find 10 billion. So what is the interest rate in 2014? 10.75, where Cabral for 2 billion, just for 2 billion, and that is a 11.75. So what does the governor do? He goes and he was talking to them and he says we have to raise this money somehow, and then he says like how much bids you have got, and then they come out with the slip and he doesn't even ask for it. He was just like there. So he was just walking around the bank, and then they come and talk to them and they say this is the amount of bids that we have got, and he says take then 20 billion. If it's under the normal rate, take about 20 billion. They say no, it's too much, we can't go for 20 billion. Then they say then we can go for 10. Then he says okay, if it's below 10, what is the last average rate? 11.75. So if it's below that, then if I were you, I would take that, and then he walks off. So never. So but what they said was that he gave a direction. There's no direction.
I think the issue was if I were you, I would take that. That was direction.
Not direction. No, but a person of your caliber with your English knowledge, Hafil. If I were you, I would take it is a suggestion, not a direction. Direction is he can give direction, because as a governor he can take a direction and said I approve, take 10, because he didn't do that, because it's up to the public debt department to decide that. So he went on the premise that he doesn't have to give a direction, it's up to the debt department, and that is what happened.
But didn't evidence, Mrs. Senasinghe, if we can go through the proceedings, didn't evidence come out that the fact that a governor would even suggest officials take it as seriously as something can get, that is a serious statement?
Not at all. Governor is the head of the department, no? So he must direct them. This is like all false allegations. Not at all. Show me one evidence from the. So what they said was governor has the direction. Governor can give directions. Governor is the one, he is responsible to find that money. Even if he has given a direction, that would have been all right, because that is a proper system. Because up to Friday you must go by the circumstances, no Hafil. So up to Friday, if you have not found money, 3.5 billion, on Monday you need 10 billion, and then the bid was, this is the first time that we went to auction, such a big amount. Now you see, it was earlier done on, especially on direct placements, and what do you do? Direct placements, you set artificial interest rate in the country, then you take it from EPF ETF, that's your money, that's my money. Government has no right to go for the EPF ETF money, because in countries, that is why now Greece, now Spain, all those countries are falling because of they were interfering with the EPF, ETF, the government money, and from the government banks they have taken 200 billion. From People's Bank they have taken, Bank of Ceylon they have taken 40 billion. From NSB they have taken 70 billion. Now the governor says that you can only take 15 billion maximum from the government banks, and that's why the government banks are getting losing faith in government banks, because government banks are borrowing from private banks. So the whole finance structure is falling in this country, and that is what this earlier government had been doing. You're setting up artificial rates, and artificial rates are not good. Then as a young lawyer, you know that. As economists, artificial rates are not, the natural rate must be, the auction is the one which sets the natural rate, and that has happened with this auction, and now the rates have come down. Now in the market you see a natural which is healthy for the economy, and that is what we have done. And the Prime Minister indicated that there's corruption. When you have private placement, direct placement, you can just choose the person. So if he had wanted to do that, he would have easily given it to Perpetual Treasuries on a private placement, which nobody would have found fault, because that is, Cabral changed it in 2008 against the manual. A board paper has been passed by him against all the norms of the economic theories in the world, all the countries in the world. Show me one country that you go by direct placements and private placement in the world. Only in Sri Lanka, which has gone by 90%. So you have to go the 10%, the balance to set up, and you can actually, the government can adjust the interest rate, and that is, you spend about 10% of the bids go through private placements, and then you use EPF, ETF and kind of adjust the interest rate. If you have about 10.5, you can bring it to 10.3. So small adjustment can be done through EPF, ETF, but not manipulating the whole market, because EPF, ETF belongs to you. You should never touch the EPF, ETF actually. So that is what this government have been doing. And when they do that, that is insider trading, and then they give information. They give you the private placement for 2 billion, and then they pass information, I am going to give you 2 billion, and then you manipulate the market and you make about 200 million.
That's what happened here also.
No, not at all. It's open. It's auction. Anybody could have gone for auction. is a possibility that anybody could have bid for it.
But Mr.